You are listening to the Thinking Effect podcast with Ortal Green and Kriegler. Everything starts with a thought. Join the quest to reshape your own and your students' thinking by exploring your usual curriculum in new and exciting ways. In each episode, we share dynamic and practical ways you can ignite thinking in your classroom. You will get used to our 3-step formula for approaching our topics. What is it? Why is it important? And how can it be implemented immediately? Listen on if you are ready to take your students on a journey to change the world one thought at a time.
Hi, Liliane. I'm so excited to be here on our first episode of the Thinking Effect podcast.
Absolutely, Ortal. We've been looking forward to this, but no one knows us really well. So how about you explain a little bit about yourself today?
My name is Ortal Green. I'm the co-founder of Glittering Minds. Glittering Minds has created a program for schools to help them create an innovative learning environment at the school. And we do so to help students develop the amazing 21st century skills like creative thinking, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, empathy, resilience, and so much more. I'm also an author. I wrote a book called Think Unique, which is a comprehensive guide for teachers that help them cultivate tomorrow's innovators in their classroom. Let's hear about you, Liliane. I'm sure everyone is curious to learn about you as well.
Well, good day, everyone. I am Kriegler. I'm an education consultant and author. I have experience at every level of education, but I have two main areas of expertise. So the first is in early childhood education, relating to children from birth to 9 years. And then secondly, I'm a senior trainer registered at the Feuerstein Institute in Jerusalem. Now, that probably means nothing to you, but in short, Professor Reuven Feuerstein was one of the original 21st century thinkers who believed that intelligence is not fixed. So his work specializes in enhancing thinking skills for people of all ages. So my expertise combines really well with Ortal's, and we are very excited to be sharing with you this podcast called The Thinking Effect.
Yes, and just to share a bit how this podcast came to be, basically, we know that the future belongs to great thinkers. Today, it's an ideas economy, and what we need, the skills we need to thrive and succeed is our ability to think in many different ways, to think creatively, to think critically, to solve problems, and to think really deeply. And this is why we want to help teachers across the globe develop great thinkers in their classroom. And that's the reason Liliane and myself came together to support teachers in this important task.
Yes, I mean, also we know that corporations across the world are asking now for critical and creative thinkers. They're asking for people who are innovative, people who innovate, not people who imitate. So, it doesn't happen overnight. We've gone some way, but there's still some of that factory model, where you're preparing children for a specific industry. But teachers are the ones who have to start helping students and helping them to develop this new wave of thinking.
Of course, teachers are such huge influencer. I don't know if teachers realize, but they have huge power to influence and really create an amazing next generation with great thinking abilities to create people who are, thinking about the community and contribute to the world around them. So I have a lot of respect and appreciation for teachers, and I think they're doing an amazing job, and we want to help them, like you said, bring the education, the classroom learning environment into where it needs to be. So some of the education environment was created, as we know, after the first industrial revolution, when we needed to prepare children to work in factories. And our world moved a lot since then, obviously in a huge pace forward. And some of the ways that we teach children today are still aligned with the old way of thinking, where people will need to do repetitive work in factories. Well, in fact, the world today is quite the opposite of that. What we need to develop is our unique way of thinking. And one of the things I wanted to discuss today, and just to let people know, is understand our brain a bit, because our brain is a unique and amazing organ. Did you know that it actually consumes 20% of the energy that we consume every day? 20% of it
Yes.
goes to our brain. It's amazing. So it needs a lot of energy to function. And because of that, actually, our brain has a tendency to be lazy, to preserve energy. So our automatic thinking is our lazy thinking. And therefore, initially, when we need to answer a question, when we need to think about a challenge, our automatic response is our lazy brain trying to get away with that, trying to not think deeply, trying to not, take a lot of energy to think. And this is why we need to keep an eye on our brain and realize that this is what's happening. And if we want to think deeply, we actually need to push our brain further and give it more time and space to think deeply about the topic at hand.
Yeah, well, I'd like to just say, there's John Hattie, who's a very well-renowned researcher in Australia, and he believes that the single most important thing that can change success for students is the teacher. And this working with children, and as you say, not to rush it. So today our podcast is really about thinking slow. When children think slow, we literally have more time and more opportunities to think. The phrase waiting time was coined by a Columbia University researcher, a wonderful lady called Mary Budd Rowe in 1972. And what she discovered, unbelievably, is the average time that teachers wait for an answer is 0.7 seconds. Like that's 70% of 1 second,
Wow.
between that and 1.4. And she
Wow.
said, yeah, incredibly quick to expect an answer. So even if we expand that to 3 seconds, it has immense advantages. And if you think about it logically, I mean, not all of our students have instant recall or the ability to frame their thoughts in a few seconds. Look, in Harry Potter, if you've read that series, we're all looking at the Hermione Granger who answers like this. And poor Ron Weasley, well, he's kind of like dead in the water. But at the same time, he's the most wonderful strategist and chess player. So the quickest answers are very seldom the best ones. So giving kids time to think is extremely advantageous.
I couldn't agree more, Lilian. We have to provide time to think. And one of the feedbacks I get from teachers I'm working with is that suddenly they realize that they can't expect the student to come up straight away with an answer. They need to give them time to ponder about the question, reflect on it, think, digest it, maybe talk with someone else about this problem, and maybe research and get some more information. Because as we know, the information is the fertile ground our brain needs in order to come with ideas and solution and new thinking. And so when you pose a question to your students, you need to give them that time, firstly, to think about the question, maybe find some more information about this topic, have some conversation with their peers, and just a time to contemplate and come up with their thoughts and ideas. And one of the things that we need to remember is that each child think differently and need to express their feeling and thoughts differently. So, for example, when one child might find it very easy and beneficial to write their thinking, someone else might prefer to draw, and it will help them actually to think when they're drawing. Or someone else might need to build a model with their hands, or create a play with someone else in order to present their thinking. So we need to provide students, children, with the space, environment, and the time that they need to form their thoughts and really think deeply about the topic or question at hand.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, just to summarize what you've said, Rowe's research, that Mary Budd Rowe, tells us three things. So the first thing is, if you expand this thinking time, teachers gain greater respect for the knowledge and the thought of more students in their classroom. Also, as you mentioned, the children check in with each other. So you've got more collaborative learning and it becomes more relational. And then the final thing, which I really love, is that it's not just time driven. The answers become more logic driven. And then when you're making those connections, there's space for creativity and for critical thinking. So why slow thinking is important is, recall is a skill for a small percentage of students. So we want them not to lose their confidence. We don't want them to chill out and think, oh my goodness, I cannot come back this fast, And we don't want a situation where the minute the teacher gets her answer, she'll say, oh, great answer. And then the thinking stops. We don't want that.
Of course, because there's so many different solutions and way of thinking, right? If we take one problem or one question, you can come up with so many different ideas as to how to solve this problem, how to answer this question. And we want that different opinions and thinking. We want this diverse thinking. And that helps students build on each other ideas and each other thinking. It's actually helps in creating better ideas and better solution when we hear different opinions from other people. So I agree with you that we need to give them the time to think and the space and environment that they need, and also allow different students to come up with different answers and say there is no one right answers. There are many different answers and we want to hear all of them. And so I would love teachers, to give it a try in the classroom. It's very easy to do so. So next time you pose a question for your students, whether you start a new topic, you can give them more time to think about it. So don't rush them into thinking and encourage them to reflect on the question and maybe explore or find more information on the topic if they need. Have a discussion with the student next to them. That helps also with forming thoughts. And only then they can start maybe express their thinking by writing or creating a model or drawing. And only then they'll be ready to share with the class. So really taking the time, slowing down, like we said, we need to slow down, think slowly, and give the students more time to reflect and really think deeply on question. And one question, if teachers are struggling with which question to give their students, one idea can be, where do ideas come from? That's an interesting question to explore.
When the students are doing that in a different way, it lights up different parts of their brain. And, as you say, in conversation with other children. So, Harvard University has put together these remarkable thinking routines. And a nice one for what you're talking about, Ortal, is called Think, Pair, Share. So, giving children to think on their own about something, then to pair up with someone to have a really considered concept of it, and maybe do those things, build, draw together, or explain their thinking, and then to share it into the whole class, because it definitely expands the level, the quality, and the depth of the thinking.
For sure, that collaborating is so crucial for thinking more deeply. So I encourage collaboration is a wonderful way to enhance our thinking and also build on other people thinking. So definitely worthwhile spending time on creating a more collaborative environment in the classroom.
Yes, and I think, when people think about giving more time, I think already listening today, they all know that they're going to have to maybe change the kind of question. I know, but that's a topic for another podcast. If you trial any of our ideas, we seriously want to hear from you. We'd love to hear from anybody who trials thinking slow. And, we'd love you to email us. And also, do we have something special for our guests if they do that?
That's yes, actually we do. First I'm going to share our email address. It is the Thinking Effect podcast at gmail.com. And definitely we want to share something special with you. So, and we want to hear from as many teachers as possible. So the teachers who are going to respond before our next episode, we're going to send one lucky teacher a book. This week, we're going to send a copy of my book, Think Unique, for one lucky teacher. So go ahead, feel free to share your experience with us. Let us how it went. And you might have Think Unique book coming your way.
Fabulous. Do you want to repeat the email address?
Yes, sure. It is the Thinking Effect podcast at gmail.com. So we look forward to hearing from you. And we look forward to have you join us for our next episode, which is going to be all about how do we trigger student thinking?
So until we see you again, be good, be safe, but be back.
Wonderful. So see you next time.